Welcome back to our Big Choice YouTube channel. In today's class, we are going to learn how to make this beautiful overlap cone sleeve. Okay, it has this beautiful overlap on the front side, and then it has this pointed cone as well on the shoulder. It's a very simple tutorial and it's beginner friendly. This is something you like to learn. Kindly stay tuned till the end of this tutorial. Thank you. Okay, so to make this sleeve, I already drafted my basic sleeve block. Okay, my round armhole measurement is 7, so I have 8 inches here with 1 inch seam allowance, as you can see. And then for my round sleeve, you just measure around your elbow, because this sleeve is stopping at my elbow. My elbow is around 11 inches, so I made it 12 inch with allowance for joining on the upper part and also hemming on the lower part. So I have 12 inches by 8 inches here, which is what I shaped to get my armhole measurement. So you can see that this sleeve is like overlapping on each other. At the same time, it has a pointed cone, so it has a pointed cone on one side and then the other side overlaps. So for us to be able to introduce the necessary volume that we need, this is a full basic sleeve. I'm going to slash it into 2 so that I'll have them separate, so that I can introduce the volume that I need for the cone as well as the volume that I need for the overlap on the other side. So now I'm going to take this and then cut into 2. So you may want to label it front and back, so that when you're cutting for the other side, you will not get confused. You just turn to the other side. So now this is what I have. So here is the side I'm going to be adding my cone to, and then here is the side that I'm going to be adding the overlap extension to. So I'm going to introduce this volume, I'm going to bring in a fresh new pattern. Okay, so instead of cutting a whole new pattern, I'm just going to join this A4 paper to my pattern, and then I'm going to measure out my extension from there. So looking at it now, I don't think it's up to my actual length, so I'm just going to use it like that and then cut off the excess half an inch, because I don't want to waste too much paper. So now you can see me placing it on it now, and then I'm going to glue it together. Okay, so the paper is glued to it now. You can see where my actual paper stops, and this is where my extension is. So for the overlap, depending on how much overlap you want, I'm going to measure the overlap extension. So for me, I just wanted to overlap by around 3 inches. 3 inches to 3.5 is fine, or even 2 inches if you don't want too much. So from where my actual measurement stops, okay, let me just use this red marker to mark this place. So this is where my sleeve stops, and this is the extension. So from that extension, I'm going to mark 3 inches, which is actually what you need. Okay, and then I'm going to make it into a straight line. So all of this excess now, I'll cut it off. So you can just measure the 3 inches by 12 inches, your length, 3 inches by 12 inches, and then you just glue it to your overlap, and this is what we have. So the next thing now is for me to shape it, because you don't want it just straight like this. So we are going to shape it in a way that it blends well with what we have coming here. So here you can use a curve or your free hand. So from here now, you can see me just shaping this all the way, so that I can have something this smooth. Okay, so now after shaping it, you're going to come in with your scissors, and then you cut this off. So the overlap side is ready. The next thing now is to work on the side that has the cone. So this is the overlap. So for the cone, depending on how much cone you want, so for me, I think a cone of around 4 inches is fine for me. And then remember, the 4 inches is going to be on fold. It has to be like this for you to form your cone. So by the time you put it on fold, you are going to have around 8 inches when you open it out like this. So I will see if I have up to 8 inches. So I have about 8 inches for my paper, so I'm just going to use it the way it is. So you can make your cone flat like this, or you can just extend it by 1 inch, so that it's going to give you that a bit of pointed cone effect. So if you want your cone to be flat, it means you are maintaining the same height that you have on your actual sleeve. This is where my actual sleeve stops, so let me just mark that as well. Okay, this is where my actual sleeve stops. This is the extension, the extra extension that I have there, and then I make it 8 inches because I want my comb to be 4 inches by the time I put it on fold. So if you want yours to be 3, you have to mark 6 inches. If you want more, you just mark as the case may be. So I have 8 inches here by the length, which is 12 inches. Okay, 8 inches by 12 inches. So by the time you put it on fold like this to form your cone, you're going to have 4 inches. So now, like I said, if you want your cone to just be on the same level with your sleeve, you leave it this straight like this, and all you just need to do is to smoothing it as well, just like we did for the upper one, to meet with what we have on our basic sleeve. So here I'm just going to connect like this as well, and then blend it in. So once you connect like that, you bring in your scissors, and then you shape it out just like this. So this is the first pattern, the pattern that carries the cone, and this is the other pattern, which is the pattern that have your overlap. So quickly, let me just quickly run through. If you want this to have like that, a little bit of pointed edge. So if you want it to have this pointed edge, all you just need to do is to add extra paper to just the cone part. So you can see that I'm not extending it to where I have my main fabric, and then you're going to glue it. So after gluing it to form your cone, you have to put it on fold just the same way it's going to be when you make your cone. So after putting it on fold like this, okay, what you just need to do is to measure 1 inch upward, and then you connect like this. I hope you understand that. I'm just maintaining the same level, that is why I have mine like this. So I'll go ahead now and cut this out on my fabric. So I've gone ahead to cut this on my fabric, and then I cut 2 for each pattern, 1 main fabric and 1 lining. So this is the side with the cone, and this is the side with the overlap. Okay, so if you don't want to have any joining on your underarm area, remember this is the side where we have our side seam. So if you don't want to have a joining there, all you just need to do is to take them together like this, and then glue, so that you can cut your pattern as one single pattern. But I want to have that underarm seam so that it's going to be a guide for me. That's why I have it. But if you are joining yours together, after sewing, all you just need to do is to make sure to notch on your underarm area, so that you know how to place it when you want to sew it to your armhole. So now I'm going to go ahead and fix interfacing to this, just the lining part. So I will remove the main bodies now, and then go ahead and glue my interfacing to the lining. I have added my interfacing to the lining, as you can see. So this is what it looks like. So remember, when I cut it on my fabric, I added allowances all around it. I really did not add allowance on the side because I already have that on my petal. But because I chopped off just around half an inch here when I wanted it to match up with the paper that I used for my extension, so I added allowance on the hem again, so that I don't have any shortage. So this is what I have now. The next thing is for me to go ahead and join them on the side seam. So this is what my side seam looks like. I'm just going to place them on each other. So let me show us with the pattern. So this is our side seam right here. Okay, so I'll just place them on each other now, and then sew by the 1 inch allowance that I left here. So you need to keep your pattern so that you know where your overlap extension starts when you want to sew it. Remember, this is just our armhole part. This is the part we are sewing to our armhole, from here to where the red marker stops. So all of these are extensions. That's why I still have my pattern. So now I'll take this to the sewing machine, and then join my side seam together, lining together, and then main fabric together separately. Then we'll use it to turn out each other. So I have joined the seam together. Now what I'm going to do is to open up my seam allowance and iron it, so that I can turn it out neatly. So you go ahead and open up your seam allowance for both sides and iron it down. Okay, so you can see my seam allowance lying flat for both my lining and my main bodies. So now the next thing now is for me to bring in my pattern. Then I'm going to notch where my armhole stops, so you can see that I have my exact pattern here. So here, this is where my overlap starts. For the overlap, I can see the red marker from here, so I'm just going to notch it there, and then I'm going to do the same thing for the other side. Okay, you can see where my actual cone starts, or you just measure the 8 inches that you used for your extension, and then you knot. So now I'm going to place this right side of the fabric facing the right side of the main bodies, and then you can see where my notch is. This where my armhole is from here to this place. Okay, the other ones are the extension. So now after placing them on each other, I'll take it to the sewing machine, and then I'm going to sew it round. Then I'm going to leave it on this armhole area to turn it out. So they have to be the same if you cut your fabric correctly. Okay, so after matching them all together like this, you can hold with a pin. I'll go ahead and sew round and then leave it on this armhole to turn it out. Okay, so I have sewn it, and you can see that I stopped sewing from the 3 inches of I have extension I have on the overlap side, and then the 8 inches I have on the cone side. So like I said again, if you don't want to have this seam that you have there, all you just need to do is to glue your pattern together. But in that case, you are not going to add any seam allowance because you are not joining. So you just need to glue your pattern together so that you can have this single piece like this before you cut out on your fabric. So now I'm going to notch around it, and then I'll turn it out and take it to the ironing table and iron well. So I'm going to turn out from this space that I have. I've turned it out and ironed, so you can see how flat it is looking and neat both inside out. So this armhole area, you can just sedge it, but I decided to leave it like this so that we can see it, so that our armhole area is going to be obvious. You can see it's very different from the extension that we have here. So this is the right side and this is the wrong side. So to create your cone, the 8 inches extension that we have there, remember I said it has to be on fold. So what I'm going to do now is to fold just that 8 inches part, right side facing right side like this. You can see this is my right side of my fabric. So by the time I sew, I'm going to turn to the wrong, and this rough edge is going to be on the wrong side. So you just fold your cone like this, and then you sew. So you can remember it's on the same level with this. So assuming you went upward, so your own is just going to be a little bit like a slanting shape like this. So I'll take it like this, and then I'm going to sew it. Okay, so my cone is sewn now. So now I'm going to turn it to the right side, and then you can just use whatever it is you have to bring out that pointed shape on the edge. Okay, so this is what it looks like now. Okay, for this part to relax well, you can also just iron it a bit, because remember I've turned it, so it's a bit heavy there. So I'll just iron it a bit so that I can go down. Okay, so this is what I have. So now the next thing is for us to style this. So styling this is very simple because we actually opened our armhole area. So this armhole area, now you are going to sew it to your armhole. So this on the arm seam is going to guide you. You're just going to place this where you have your seam here on your underarm, on your armhole, and then you pin. Then you pin it to the upper part on the right side, and then pin to the upper part on the left side as well. So I'll take it to this mannequin now so that we can see how I'm going to style this. Okay, so now we're on the mannequin. So this is the underarm area like I explained. So it has to be on this side, this underarm side. So now you're going to match it. This side you're going to sew it to your armhole. The underarm will be like this, and then you sew the part with the 3 inches extension. That's the part for in the front, and then the part with the cone is going to be at the back. So make sure that you have your exact armhole measurement on this armhole area. So now I'm going to sew this to the front like this, to my armhole in the front like this, and then you sew the back as well. So now this extension that you have here, after you have sewn it, remember it has to stop here if you use the actual armhole measurement. So this extension that I have here now, I'm just going to fold it. I'm going to bend it to meet up with my shoulder line. Okay, so this is the extension. This is my actual armhole. As you can see, after sewing into my armhole, this 3 inches extension, I'm going to fold this outwards like this to meet up with my shoulder line. So on the other side now, after sewing your cone area as well all round to your armhole, this cone now is going to also overlap like this. So you just tack it, so you can see what we have. So this cone is also going to lay on this 3 inches extension that you have. So you just tack them somewhere here, and then you style it anyhow you want. So this is the result that we have. Now you can embellish this side with whatever it is that you want. I'm just going to hold mine with a pin so that we can see what it looks like very well. And then you can see that even the fact that we maintain the same length for our cone, we still have a little bit of this pointed edge like this. So if you want it pointer, you just need to go up by 1 or 2 inches, and then you connect it back to your actual armhole level. So I'll pin this now, and then we can see what it looks like very well. So you agree with me that it's very simple to make this sleeve, and it's really beautiful as we have seen. So I have pinned this now, as you can see, and then I just placed this beautiful trimming on the curved side, so you can place on both sides if you want, and you can see how beautiful this is looking. I hope you enjoyed making this beautiful tutorial with me. If you enjoyed it, let us know in the comment section. Like, comment and subscribe to our channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.